A long time ago there lived a poor cowherd. His parents had died, and he lived with his brother and his sister-in-law. But his only relatives were cruel to him, and one day they drove him out of the house. A farmer took pity on the homeless boy and offered him a daily meal and a bed of straw in the cowshed. In return, the boy would look after the farmer's old ox. From then on, the boy spent his days and nights with the animal. In fact, the beast was his only companion. Despite his great age, the ox was a handsome creature. His golden hair shone in the moonlight. The boy knew in his heart that his friend had something heavenly about him. One day, when they were out on the hills, the ox turned his great head to the boy and spoke to him clearly in an almost human voice. "Boy," he lowed, "you're my friend, and you have looked faithfully after me. Now I am old, and soon I will die. My time on earth is done. I will return to my place in the heavens, where I am the chief star in the constellation of the ox. Before I go, I wish to see you married." The poor lad did not know how to reply. He knew not a single girl, let alone one that would marry him. The ox saw how perplexed he looked, and spoke as follows. "Listen carefully to me, for this is what you must do. Today is the 7th of the month. This very night the 7 weaving maidens of the skies will float down to the river to take a bath. You will see their clothes by the bank. The 7th daughter wears robes of red. Sneak quietly to the bank and steal her clothes. In this way you will get to know her, for she will call out and demand the return of the robes." The boy sighed, for the river was far away on the other side of the mountain. He would not be able to reach its banks before nightfall. The celestial ox again saw that the boy was at a loss, but he had an answer for this problem too. He told the cowherd to climb on his back. Then off they flew through the skies to the river. When they arrived, the boy stepped down from his friend's back and swiftly hid behind a jade tree. Towards midnight he heard splashing and giggling. He peeped round the tree and saw the maidens swimming and playing in the water. While they were having fun, he crawled stealthily forward and pinched the red robe of the 7th daughter of the skies. When the weaving maidens had finished washing and frolicking, they came out onto the bank. But where were the red robes of the 7th daughter of the skies? They knew right away that somebody must have stolen them. The girl without clothes hid behind a bush to cover her modesty. Her sisters called, "Come out, whoever you are! It is not wise to play pranks on the immortals. Our father is the Jade Emperor and the ruler of all heavens. He knows how to punish naughty human folk." The boy saw the funny side of the situation and felt bold. He stepped forward holding the red robes before his eyes. He called out, "Lovely maiden, 7th daughter of the skies, promise to be my wife, and I will return these clothes to you." It was such a cheeky proposal that the weaving maidens could not help but laugh. The 7th daughter, who was hiding behind the bush, was furious. But, in a way, she was impressed too by this brazen boy. She had to admit he was not bad looking for a human, and there was something about him. Her eldest sister said, "Listen to the lad. You are not able to fly away without your robes. If you do not agree to his demand, We must leave you here. Throw the robes over here, and I will think about it, said the maiden from behind the bush. The boy threw the robes. Now will you marry me? He demanded. I will let you know, she replied. Her sisters gasped and giggled. Don't miss your chance, said the eldest. I bet a good-looking lad like him has plenty of offers. It's not every day that a maiden of the skies gets a proposal. Think about it. How often does a man want to marry a cloud? And so the maiden, now fully clothed in her red robes, stepped out from the bush. She held out her lovely hand. The boy knelt and kissed it. She agreed to be his wife. Her sisters flew away to the skies, where they continued as usual to flit across the heavens in the form of fluffy clouds. By contrast, the lovely seventh maiden lived on earth with the cowherd. She took the shape of a most beautiful woman. From that day on, the boy's fortunes prospered. The farmer adopted him as his son and gave him a wedding gift of land and livestock. His mean brother and sister-in-law could only look on enviously at his prosperity. The cowherd lived happily with his heavenly wife, and 3 years later they had twins, a beautiful boy and girl. The only sadness in their lives was that the dear old ox had passed away. They had comfort in that they could look up at the sky and see him twinkling in the constellation of the ox. Up in the heavens, the passing of 3 years is like 3 days to the gods. The Heavenly Mother began to notice that the dawn and the evening clouds had lost their rosy tint. She realised that the seventh weaving maid, she of the red robes, had gone missing. She scanned the earth with all her seeing eye and spotted the happy couple living in a humble hovel. "That is not fit for a divine maiden," she shouted, and the whole sky was filled with a terrible thunderstorm. Mad with fury, she sent her heavenly soldiers to the farmhouse. They delivered the Queen's message to her daughter. She must return to the skies or face the destruction of her family and children. With great sadness, she had no choice. She must go back to heaven. The soldiers escorted her, leaving her wailing children and husband behind. For the first time since the night at the river, the cowherd was in despair and did not know what to do. He looked up into the heavens and saw the twinkling star of his friend the ox. Then he remembered that when the mortal form of the ox had died, he had kept his hide. He took the ox skin down from the wall and spread it out on the floor like a carpet. When he sat down on it, the hide began to fly, and it lifted him up to the heavens and swept him away to the palace of the Jade Emperor, who rules all heaven and earth. There he found himself in front of the throne of the Heavenly Mother. The cowherd fell down on his knees and prayed. "O Queen of Heaven, I have come to reclaim my wife. I married her lawfully, and she must live with me as long as she loves me, and I love her." But the Queen flew into a fury. "How dare you, a mere mortal, a cowherd to boot, marry my daughter through trickery, and then follow us up to heaven and make your insolent demand?" The boy trembled, thinking that his last moment had come. The Queen reached up to her headdress and pulled out a silver hairpin. She cast it across the heavens. It scattered silver across the skies, spreading stardust in its wake. In the West, we know the result as the Milky Way. In China, they call it the Silver River. And now the cowherd and the seventh weaving maid stand on either side of the river and gaze all year long at each other. But on their anniversary, the festival of the 7th of the 7th, even the hard heart of the Queen of Heaven relents. A magical bridge appears across the Silver River, and for one day and night the cowherd and his heavenly wife can meet and embrace.